Welcome to the Sunday night London time meeting of Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Now we are going to go through bits of this book. I'm going to read a little bit. If at any point anyone wants to read, feel free if you've got the book in front of you, and I can share the reading a bit today since many of you know how this works now. And if you want to ask a particular question, you are going to have opportunities to do so. Again, put your little cartoon hand up. And okay, that was not my staff under my own name, so I don't know how they got in here. So they have been booted out, whoever they are. Something else for Zoom to sort out. Now, if you have got a question, the idea is that we stop at intervals and that you ask questions so that we can apply what we're talking about to your particular situation that you're in right now. Okay, so chapter 2, Feeling is the Secret, and it is on sleep today. Sleep, the life that occupies 1/3 of our stay on Earth, is the natural door into the subconscious. So it is with sleep that we are now concerned. The conscious 2/3 of our life on Earth is measured by the degree of attention we give our sleep. Our understanding of and delight in what sleep has to bestow will cause us night after night to set out for it as though we were keeping an appointment with a lover. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men in slumbering upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. Okay, it is in sleep and in prayer, a state akin to sleep, that man enters the subconscious to make the impressions and receive his instructions. So, as Neville has always talked about, it is about the last thing you put in your mind before you drift off to sleep. That takes you into the subconscious, and that's where you can impress whatever it is that you desire. That's where your instructions are received. So if your instructions are to be loved and have lots of money and have an amazing job and be the perfect weight, then that's where the instructions, that's where it starts, and that's where they're received. In these states, the conscious and the subconscious are creatively joined. So, as we often talk about in whether it's law of attraction circles, well-being circles, there's often a real emphasis on conscious and subconscious being separated. And they are connected. The subconscious acts out and executes what instructions you give it from the conscious mind. So that's why whatever you put into your mind before you go to sleep, and I know many watch crime shows, movies about betrayal, and all this stuff goes into the subconscious. And then when something shows up on the outside, you go, hang on a minute, why is that there? And you forget, as Neville talks about in Seed Time in the Harvest, that you forget what seeds you planted. So be really mindful what you do before you go to bed. Okay, the male and female become one flesh. Sleep is the time when the male or conscious mind turns from the world of sense to seek its lover or subconscious self. I love that. That's really beautiful. So he talks about male and female, male conscious, female subconscious, and they join and they execute what you desire for your highest good. Now, if you are miscreating, as in getting things you don't want in your current life right now, then you got to look at what seeds you are planting, okay? So the subconscious, unlike the woman of the world who marries her husband to change him, has no desire to change the conscious waking state, but loves it as it is and faithfully reproduces its likeness in the outer world of form. So it doesn't discriminate whatever it is that you are putting out. It just takes its instructions from you. So the conditions and events of your life are your children, formed from the molds of your subconscious impressions in sleep. I love that. So whatever you're basically living right now in all those categories we just mentioned before, these are your children formed from the molds of your subconscious impressions. So if you've got something in front of you and you go, why is this so difficult? You got to look at, what have I been molding? What have I been doing? And whatever it is, it's changeable. You're not stuck, okay? You're not stuck. Give me 1 sec. Somebody's saying that they can't get in. 1 second. I'm just going to pause this. Now, continuing on, as the subconscious, so on earth, whatever you have in consciousness as you go to sleep is the measure of your expression in the waking 2/3 of your life on earth. Okay, so this is massive. And I think it's easy overlooked that what you are thinking about as you go to sleep, whether you're struggling to sleep, whether you've got anxiety, depression, anger at somebody, fear about something not happening, whatever it is, you take that into sleep. And then it's what you live on a daily, weekly, monthly basis as reoccurring patterns in certain situations. Okay, so if you've got something that you've been working on for a while and it's gridlocked, or you feel you're not getting anywhere, or you feel like, why am I still dealing with this? There is let's say a state that's fixed to some degree if you keep getting the same repetitive outcome, okay? Now, that's not to beat yourself with a stick about, it's just to say, okay, I'm going to see if I can tighten this little bit up, which is that I'm looking at this on the outside. It is not what I want. I'm going to look at what I'm doing before I go to bed a little bit more clearly, a little bit more consciously, and I'm going to make some effort to tighten this up, to clean this up, to get better at whether I do a meditation for surrender and letting go, whether I do an imaginal scene that implies something that I want, that this little bit of time between, say, depends on your schedule, of course, 8 p.m. till midnight, 1 a.m., what am I doing in that time? Because that time is pre-incubation period into sleep, and it's really, really important. Okay, now does anybody want to ask anything? I don't think anyone's got their hand up yet. Okay, no problem. Does anyone, Shireen, did you want to ask something? Yeah, go ahead.
I've been noticing themes also from my actual sleep. Does Neville talk about that?
Say it again.
Just there's certain themes in my dreams, both positive
Yes.
and negative, that I've also noticed are like, and it hit me this week. So that's why it's very interesting that we're touching upon this. So I'm just wondering if Neville talked about that at all, because I haven't read anything about that.
No, not specifically that comes to mind. I think it does definitely, the sleep world definitely echoes a lot of things for us, especially fears and especially deep desires, deep fears, deep desires, incredibly positive dreams, incredibly fearful dreams. I mean, I remember I had huge dreams of infidelity, you know, from being with somebody and then having fears they were going to be with somebody else. That haunted me for a long time. And I think I can see now as I work with people that that's quite a common one when you've got a relationship that you want or a relationship that you're in that's struggling, that this whole thing of third parties is a deep collective consciousness fear for many. So I do think the conscious and the subconscious are connected. They're not separate. I don't think the dream world and the conscious world are separate either. I think it shows us sometimes some things perhaps that we're not ready to deal with, or the dream world kind of brings it up for you to deal with. That's why you often get a dream hangover. You know, it hangs with you for a few days. So if I find anything, Shireen, I'll let you know, but nothing comes to mind that I can think of.
It's fascinating. Anyways, thank you.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right. Nothing stops you from realizing your objective, save your failure to feel that you are already that which you wish to be, or that you are already in possession of the things sought. Your subconscious gives form to your desires only when you feel your wish fulfilled. Now, as you all know, most likely, if you've been around Neville, that he talks a lot about the wish fulfilled. He talks a lot about changing states and embodying the state of the desire. So if you have got a particular desire today that is not fulfilled, ask yourself, okay, how good have I been doing? How well have I been doing on getting into the state of what I think having this desire will give me? So if you feel that you want love, and you might want love from a particular person, you want a brand new relationship, you have to embody feeling love. And you've got to get good at that. And it's the same with money, feeling like you've got enough, which means you'd feel free, you'd feel relaxed, you'd feel, I can do what I want when I want. And in terms of love, you would feel, I am loved, I am love, may divine love be made alive in me. And you're not waiting for the new relationship or that specific person, because you're getting better at generating the state of love from within. So the wish fulfilled, yes, is to be with someone, but the thing that is to be mastered is how good am I at holding the state of being in a state of love from within. I am. Not I'm going to get you and then I will feel it, because that's where we get tripped up, especially in relationships, is looking to the other person so that you can feel that satisfaction and get out of the dissatisfaction. So it's just practice. It really is just practice. It sounds easy on paper, I know, because I mean, it took me a while to get there, to be where I am with my relationship now, but you keep trying. It's like riding a bike. You get up, you try it again, you try it again, you try it again. And then somehow, like with riding a bike, click, you're riding, you've got no training wheels. This is the same. It's just a practice state of being, state of energy, state of, I'm there. It's that. It's staying in that relief and letting go of that tenseness that we get, neck, shoulders, jaw, gut, you know, everything tightens up because you're tense about trying to get there. So if you can practice surrendering the physical body, you can do it through breathing, you can do it through meditation, you can do it through exercise, you can do it through sleep. There are lots of different ways to get into that letting go state. And the more you let go, the more you feel satisfied, the more you feel the wish fulfilled on the particular subject that you want, then you get closer to what it is that you want, and you collapse the space and time between you. It dissolves, and then you and your thing, person, job, money, whatever, it's like the two sides of the coin, they come together. Okay. Now, does anybody have the book and they'd like to read? I mean, I'm happy to read. I just thought you guys might want to have a bit of a go. Manel?
Yeah, I have the book.
You wanted to ask a question. Go ahead.
I do want to ask the question. I also want to read on your behalf, just
cool.
to relieve your burden. So, like, for the past 1 month, I've been meditating on a job that is not even in the market yet. Like, I had this imaginal scene whereby I was telling you, Agnes, guess what? I got the job. And then I was like telling you, like, what comes along. I mean, like all the things that came with the job, the list. And recently a job came up and it fulfills all the list. Check all the boxes according to the imaginal scene. So now I'm not sure is that a coincidence, or is that something that, like, does it come from all the meditation that I've done? And now I started like stalking the people who work in the company so that I can have another imaginary scene that I'm already signing the offer letter with them. So I'm just like, it feels like it's not real, because like every time when I do this meditation, after the meditation is over, I'm bright awake. I'm not even falling into sleep. Like I can even stay up to watch another 3 more movies, another 6 hours. That's the thing. And I'm not sure if it's working or not, to be honest.
Sounds like it's working really well from the result you said you're getting.
Yeah, and it's really scary because, I mean, this is not the first time. Like 2 years ago, I was imagining working for a company which has never advertised for past 5 years, and suddenly I saw them recruiting, and I started contacting all the staff, all the workers from this company on LinkedIn, and I didn't get any reply, and I felt very embarrassed. I felt like a crazy stalker, not even like with a lover. That's why I didn't apply to the company, and now this company came up, so I'm not sure how do I go forward to really tighten the loop so that I have a more I do not know how. I wonder if you can understand what I'm trying to say, because like I just feel like I'm not doing enough to make sure that I'm not doing good enough to. I just don't want a sloppy manifestation.
I wouldn't be contacting people via LinkedIn, especially like you said, I've used the word stalked. I would stay right away from that. And the good thing is you've brought in something, it's getting closer, and you've got an opportunity. So I would work on your I'm not good enough and continue to imagine, whatever you can about being there already. You're a month down the track. You walk in and out of that. Is it a work from home, Manel, or is it actually working at, it's work from home? Okay. Yeah. So you wouldn't be going in. You got to work out a way that implies that you've got the job and you've been there already a month. So you could try the ahead in time meditation, which jumps you further into the future, and then you drag that into the present. Because if you were already there, you'd have a totally different set of feelings. So you got to try and capture that feeling place, wish fulfilled state of that point in time, and bring it and drop the pin here.
Okay.
So don't try and do too much external. It's not external. You've done, I mean, yes, you need to apply, you need to check your emails. We have to do a certain amount but don't overshoot the mark and try and coax it then to happen by stalking people from the company. I think that's where the energy is trying to force it and make it happen, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. At least now I can see that.
Yeah.
It's more concrete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
And do
now
you want to read a bit?
Yeah, I will read. I'll pick up from the unconscious of sleep is the normal state of the subconscious, because all things come from within yourself, and your conception of yourself determines that which comes. You should always feel the wish fulfilled before you drop off to sleep. You never draw out of the deep of yourself that which you want. You always draw that which you are, and you are that which you feel yourself to be, as well as that which you feel as true of others.
Okay. Stop there, Manel. I'm just going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So if you drop off to sleep and you are in the wish fulfilled, fantastic. I think one of the easiest ways to do that is, isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now? Which is a simple affirmation. It's general, and you can use it for relationships, for money, for a job. If you've got lots of multiple things you're trying to manifest, I think an affirmation like that, it sits over the top nicely of all topics. So when you're too tired to do an imaginal scene about work, about money, about a relationship, because you just don't, it's too much, go, okay, let me just fall into sleep, slide in with that beautiful, isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now? And it is such a lovely, lovely, lovely way to go in. Now, Piotr, who's in here, we were talking about this week, Wayne Dyer's beautiful piece of music. And I'm going to bring it up, Piotr, because I think that's a really good one to do it to. Wayne Dyer's I Am That I Am meditation. Did you want to say something, darling?
I think, if anything, just to concur with you, Agnes, really good one. And I personally have been using it on my walks.
Yes.
Obviously, I've been doing for just to staying or getting back in shape and staying active, getting some exercise in me.
Yeah.
Headphones, and I usually do them in the evening, so I just walk and listen to them, and how I feel, I repeat those I am statements to myself, or sometimes I simply just listen to that music, and yeah, more often than not, it has quite strong effect.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't heard that piece of music, it's 20 minutes, then there's a little, I think about 5-10 second gap of silence, and then it goes into the next 20 minutes. Piotr, can you find it on YouTube and put the link in the chat? Because I think it's profound, that music, how beautiful it is. It just hits you somewhere. So Manel, Christina, I'll get to your question in a minute, lovely. I'm going to get Manel to read a little bit more, and then I'll come back to you in a minute. Manel, keep going.
Okay. To be realized, that the wish must be resolved into the feeling of being or having or witnessing the state sought. This is accomplished by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The feeling which comes in response to the question, how would I feel were my wish realized? Is the feeling which should monopolize and immobilize your attention as you relax into sleep. You must be in the consciousness of being or having that which you want to be or to have before you drop off to sleep. Once asleep, man has no freedom of choice. His entire slumber is dominated by his last waking concept of self. It follows, therefore, that he should always assume the feeling of accomplishment and satisfaction before he retires in sleep. Come before me with singing and thanksgiving, Psalm 95:2. Enter into his gate with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Psalm. Your mood prior to sleep defines your state of consciousness as you enter into the presence of your everlasting lover, the subconsciousness. She see. Oh, should I continue?
I'll just add a little bit before you go on, Manel.
Okay.
There is, again, the emphasis on the mood prior to sleep, and it defines your state of consciousness. So the more you clean up this part of your life, clean up as in don't just let your mind wander around while you're laying in bed at night to things that are painful, annoying, horrible to go over, whatever it is that is evoking negative emotion, do not put that in your head before you go to bed. Put the effort into focusing on desired things. Now, what you're doing is you're training yourself to get away from problem thinking, get away from problem focusing, get away from dissatisfaction, get away from I haven't got, I want more. And it is cleaning up your energetic signal to Source, God, the universe, and then the subconscious will take its instructions from you. That's why, if you can, I know a lot of people, they've had a long day, they sit in front of Netflix, they zone out, and then they fall asleep on the couch, they crawl into bed, and then for that little bit of time in between, the mind's just doing whatever it wants. So go to bed a little bit earlier, 15, 20 minutes, to give yourself time. If you really want what you say you want, try and dedicate 15, 20 minutes before you slide off into sleep. Go to bed a little bit earlier so you don't just go to bed and fall asleep straight away, which I know when you're exhausted, that's what happens. And that's understandable. But if you're exhausted, you got to attend to the exhaustion so that you can then be able to focus for 15, 20 minutes before you go to bed. So it's time well spent. It's time well spent. Okay, Manel, do you want to continue?
Yeah. Okay. She sees you exactly as you feel yourself to be. If, as you prepare for sleep, you assume and maintain the consciousness of success by feeling I'm successful. You must be successful. Lie flat on your back with your head on a level with your body. Feel as you would were you in possession of your wish, and quietly relax into unconsciousness. He that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Nevertheless, he giveth his beloved sleep. The subconscious never sleeps. Sleep is the door through which the conscious waking mind passes to be creatively joined to the subconscious. Sleep conceals the recreative art, while the objective world reveals it. In sleep, man impresses the subconscious with his conception of himself.
Okay, so on that point, the creative act hatches when you put the effort in to impress the subconscious before you go to sleep. So that's why doing Ho'oponopono or, living in the end meditation or whatever is you pulling you away from I haven't got problem thinking, and it's putting you into solution thinking. The more you can go to bed into solution thinking, the more you can go to bed solution focused and sliding into sleep with the great emotion, because when you know you are a creator, this is what you know you can do. And as human beings, our natural instinct, I think, is to go to the negative first. And you have to train yourself out of that habit slowly over time. Okay. All right, Christina, I'm going to ask you for your question.
Hello. Yes, I was thinking the question is that does it matter how long the sleep is, or does he even talk about that? Or when you wake up in the middle of the night, does that mean like diminished quality of your wish fulfillment, or like you're just super efficient? I don't know.
I don't think it matters the length of time. I've got my law of attraction friend who I've been doing Neville with for 30 years. She's in her 70s now, and she has an afternoon sleep pretty much every single day when she's not looking after her grandkids. And she does it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and sleeps for an hour or two. So doesn't matter about night or day, time of day. If you're needing a sleep and you can afford to go and have one because, you know, you got a day off or you're not working or whatever, then again, that's time where you can tighten up the focus on the target. So it is a good question, Kellyanne, isn't it? Yeah, it is a good question, because we think it's just nighttime sleep, but anytime. I mean, some people fall asleep when meditating too. So if you're doing a living in the end meditation and you're doing it laying down and then you drop off, people say, oh, I didn't finish the meditation. It's like, it doesn't matter. You were doing it. You were relaxed enough to slide in, and you slid in with a good emotion. Who cares if you did the whole thing? Doesn't matter. So yeah.
That makes me feel better about falling asleep all the time.
Afternoon sleeps are excellent, especially in winter. Especially in winter. Okay. Just before, Manel, you continue, Ella, you were going to type me something in the chat. Did you do so? Let me see if you're in there. No, I can't see it in there. If you want to type it in there, Ella, go ahead, and then I can read it after Manel will read a bit more, and then I'll come back and see if your question is in there, okay? All right, Manel, you want to read a little bit more? Oh, got to ask to unmute you. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. I lost where I left off. Okay. I found myself.
You read sleep conceals the creative act, so it must be the next paragraph.
Yeah. In sleep, man impresses the subconscious with his conception of himself. What more beautiful description of this romance of the conscious and subconscious is there than that told in the Song of Solomon? By night on my bed I sought him whom my soul loved. I found whom my soul loved. I found him whom my soul loved. I held him and I not let him go until I had brought him into my mother's house and into the chamber of her that conceived me.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's Neville doing what Neville does, and not always the easiest to understand. So we'll just dissect that a little bit. Now, by night on my bed, I sought him who my soul loveth. So, and this is my interpretation after reading Neville for 30 years. I don't think my interpretation is the be all and end all. You know, this is just what I think he's talking about here. Now, he talks about, I'll go back. I'm going to just tackle the last sentence and then I'm going to go back a bit. He talks about the chamber of her that conceived me. This is about where things are given birth to, okay? The womb. And I found him with whom my soul loveth. So I think that's the connection to God. It's the connection to, you know, the real love between us and source, between the God within, between the self-love. It's not about an external person. It's not about an external thing, another bright, shiny object of some sort. This is the internal process of giving birth to things. And this is, I believe, where he talks about love. I held him and I not let him go. And it's like I'm holding on to love and I'm holding on to that connection, and then I'm giving birth to it. And I know many of you are going through dealing with SPs and relationships and things where things are not going 100% according to the way you want. And the more you can fall in love within, like, remember a time, if you can remember it, where you felt really in love. It's like you didn't care about the problems at work. You didn't care about if you were carrying a few extra kilos. You didn't care about whether you were making huge amounts of money. You were in love. And that feeling of being in love, it diminished all other problems. It diminished everything else around you because you felt so amazingly good. So if you can fall in love once again within, all other stuff on the outside ceases not to matter. It's not saying it doesn't matter to you. It just means the impact emotionally on you is dialed right down because you can handle it, because you can be okay, because you can shrug your shoulders and say, hey, I feel so in love. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm already there. So, this chapter where he's talking about sleep and he's talking about the whole concept of the wish fulfilled. To get to the wish fulfilled, the more you can inject it with love, the more you can get into the state of love, the more your external circumstances course correct themselves. It is always an internal job that then corrects the outside. Okay? So, but it's practicing concentration. It's practicing being able to focus. It's concentrating on and making time for feeling loved with no distractions and no excuses and no interference. Making time to just sit between you and the source within, the God within, infinite intelligence. Show me how to fall into love. So, the womb of creation. Okay, does anyone else want to read a little bit? Thank you, Manel. Anybody else have the book? Do you want to read, Christina, a little bit?
I'll read.
I'll read.
Hopefully it's not, I don't know. I don't have a very subconscious about my voice.
That's all right. Remember, progress, not perfect. I make heaps of mistakes when I read, so don't worry about making mistakes. It's just us. All good.
Okay. So preparing to sleep, you feel yourself into the state of the answered wish, and then relax into unconsciousness. Your realized wish is he whom you seek. By night on your bed, you seek the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that you may take it with you into the chamber of her that conceived you, into sleep, or the subconscious which gave you form. That is, wish also may be given expression. This is the way to discover and conduct your wishes into the subconscious. Feel yourself in the state of the realized wish and quietly drop off to sleep. Night after night, you should assume the feeling of being, having the witnessing that which you seek to be, possess and see manifested. Never go into sleep feeling discouraged or dissatisfied. Never sleep in the consciousness of failure. Your subconscious, whose natural state is sleep, sees you as you believe yourself to be, and whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. The subconscious will faithfully embody your belief. As you feel so, do you impress her, and she, the perfect lover, gives form to these impressions and out pictures them as the children of her beloved.
Oh,
Okay.
that's lovely.
Yeah. Thou art fair, my love. There is no spot in thee. Song of Solomon 4:7.
Christina, you've dropped out. Christina? Can you guys hear her, or is it just me?
To assume the feeling of
Mm.
satisfaction is to call conditions into being, which will mirror satisfaction. Signs follow, they do not precede.
Okay. So that you just dropped out a bit, Christina, for that little bit. For some reason, your audio dropped out. So just a little recap. Disregard appearances. So whatever you've got going on right now in your life that's not to your liking in terms of how it looks, practice using that as, oh, that's not what I want. Let me turn within, course correct, focus on the desire, and then generate. You change your mental diet about that. And then you, from the change in your mind, your thought, you're living in the wish fulfilled mentally, then what happens is your body takes over and generates emotions that go with it. So this whole book is about feeling as a secret. So you must feel loved, successful, happy, free, because a lot of this stuff makes us feel trapped and that you can't get to where you want to go. So this whole thing about signs, now, I'm just going to talk about that before I take your question, Christina. Signs follow, they do not precede. So people think, oh, I say to God, I need a sign about what's going on with my relationship or my job or my money. And then if you happen to see a sign that hits you and you know it's a sign, then you go, oh, thank God I got that sign. And some of you trust the sign. Some of you go, hang on, that looks like a sign, but I'm not sure if that was a full sign. Can I trust the sign? And then you go into doubt about whether the sign was really real. Now, Neville talks about signs follow, they don't precede. So he's saying that you get a sign after. Now, why does he say that? Because the sign of change externally happens after you've had an internal shift. So that's what Neville refers to when he says signs follow. They follow your shift internally. They follow your change of state. So when you get a call from a specific person, or you get a job offer, or you get an amazing tax return when you've been really needing money, it is a secondary thing to what you did first, which was you might have surrendered. You might have said, you know what, I don't worry about money and I'm not going to start now. And you've let go of your poverty consciousness. You might go, you know what, I'm not doing any of this stuff anymore. I'm just going to go and ride my bike out in the country and forget all about any of this stuff. And you've raised your vibration from feeling not good to good. That alone also helps. So this thing that Neville talks about often trips people up, because Neville, talks about the signs happening after, but he's referring to that the sign happens after you've had an internal shift, an internal change. Okay. So, Christina, did you want to ask something before?
Yeah, that was actually my question. Signs follow, they do not precede.
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because it goes against a lot of what goes on in law of attraction circles, YouTubes, because they talk about, I'm going to pray for a sign, I'm going to ask for a sign, I saw my sign, excellent, I'm on the right track. But really, the powerful sign is, look at what's just happened. That means I must have shifted. Ooh, thank you. There's some evidence. There's my sign. That tells me that I've shifted internally. Nice.
And I think it goes back to other things he's saying, how we're the one who manifests things. And I think that was one concept that's still very hard sometimes, is that I am the one who's creating these things sometimes.
Yeah.
If that is the law, then of course, then whatever the sign.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that
It's
was-
huge. It's huge, isn't it? Because all of a sudden you go, oh my God, I can't blame anyone anymore. I'm responsible. And there are days where you go, screw this. I'm not taking that level of responsibility on. You do. You kind of go, I don't know about that. No, that was definitely the tax department ripped me off. They ripped me off, or whatever it is, or that specific person. They went and cheated behind my back. I didn't do anything about that. That's them. That's on them. They're just a horrible person and they're into infidelity. And, you stand there with your arms crossed, with a bit of an attitude of, well, better than, because you're not looking at the self and going, hang on, I'm not good enough and I'm second best and someone's going to leave me and the person I want to be with is never going to commit to me because I still feel fear and anxiety about who I am. And I feel inadequate and I do not want to take responsibility for my inadequacy. And that you get higher levels of taking responsibility as the years go by, because you realize that the stuff that you don't talk to anyone about, it's there. You know what you think, what your childhood was. No one knows it better than you. So, and I'm not saying you've got to jump from zero responsibility to full-blown responsibility where you blame yourself for everything. It's like, hang on a minute, I'm just going to not judge myself. I'm going to accept that this is something I've created. But you know what? I love myself. I'll get there. I'm getting better at this because this isn't easy. And you have, like you would say to a child, like you would say to a dear friend, you treat yourself like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to just read Ella's question. Okay. I just need advice on what can I do to better make my wish come true, moving legally to another country, to the USA. I'm trying to do things for years already, but I guess I'm doing something wrong. I was falling asleep with this picture of me already in the USA, touching my US passport or green card, and used to do meditations every day of seeing me already there and feeling it. Good. That sounds like you're doing the right things. I also do physical things like applying the green card lottery and looking for job sponsorships in the USA, but I can't see any progress. What can I do better? Well, Ella, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. It sounds to me like you're doing really well. My question to you would be, how long have you been doing it? And can you start thinking from the US? I'm not sure where you are right now, but are you still sleeping in the country you're in, or are you sleeping in the USA in imaginal scenes is what I'm asking you. So that's the thing. Okay, so you said you're reading affirmations before bed too. That's good. Helen's given you a meditation. Very nice, Annabelle. Buying something that you would use in the USA for your travels and prep. Don't give up. Yes, nice. You've recorded affirmations in your voice. Excellent. Could be US dollars. Yes, that's a good one. I actually own US dollars. Good. Okay, well, it sounds like you're really on the right track, Ella. I would just, this is persisting. It's not always, something that happens when you think you should get it by now. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that the fruit isn't ripe on the tree. So you wouldn't look at a pear and go, why are you still green? And it hasn't turned yellow so that you can eat it. So it's the same with this. Don't keep looking at the green pear and going, why isn't it turning yellow with this? Give it time. There needs to be a natural progression of you moving from I haven't got it to I have got it. And I think the whole story, there's more than one in Neville's books, but where somebody wanted to be in another house And Neville said, you've got to stop sleeping in this house. So for you, it's not the house, it's the country. So, you know, I'm going to start imagining that I am in a particular, you might pick a particular location if that's helpful, if you've got a particular location in the US that comes to mind, and then get on Google Earth, get on whether it's photographs, whatever it is, look up pictures of that area and start to immerse yourself in hearing the accent exactly as it would be, where you want to go, and then fall asleep in the US would be what I would try. Okay? Because we can't be thinking, this is where the difference between thinking of it and living from it is different. You're perhaps, I'm not sure, but ask yourself the question, am I sitting where I am thinking of the US, or am I falling asleep in the US and looking back at where I used to live? Because that is the distinction between it happening and not happening, because you still got to collapse space and time between you and it. And that takes practice, but it's something that you can tweak, because it sounds like you're already doing some really good things. So it's being in the US mentally now and looking back at you in the country that you are in presently. And there was Ella, I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. There was a YouTube I did about, you got to try and go to where you want to go, and your spirit has to go forward, and you've got to get to the point where you separate. When you do this living from, you get to the point where you can imagine yourself falling asleep in the US, waking up in the US. But then when you think about where your physical body is, your spirit doesn't shoot back into your body. You see, you can actually hold yourself over there, and then your spirit can look across back at where you are without coming back into your body. Okay, so I will, because I've got your email, I'm just going to write down to send you. I've got to find that YouTube about that, because you're splitting the physical body and the spirit about the soul.
And yes,
Yeah.
what about when Neville wanted to leave the army and when he wanted to go
Yeah.
to Barbados? She's got to like really not
Yes.
imagine herself in her home, but the home she wants to be.
That's true.
If she finds somewhere where she wants to be in
Yeah.
US and kind of looks at it and studies it and think, yeah, like this certain street is where I'd like to live, in herself walking down that street.
Yeah. Actually, that's good, Annabelle. The Barbados story and the army story are excellent. If while we're talking on here, if you can find those on YouTube, if you can't, I've written them down, so that's fine. I can look them up for Ella tomorrow morning. But I think, yeah, it's fine tuning the way to get into the living from state. Like we can easily think of stuff, but it's like over there in the distance, like with you, because, you know, most of you in here will know that Annabelle was interviewed by me about her degree, and it was this thing over there. And eventually it became something that was over here, and she's now, you know, at the very end and has got the degree, and it's a past event now. So it's getting to that place, Annabelle, isn't it, where you can go past the event and live from the end result.
Yeah.
And for you, I remember the cap and gown was the end result. And you sent me that photo, and that photo's on the thumbnail. So it worked. What you did worked.
I really do believe as well that you do have to let go.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
See it, feel it, believe it, let it go.
Yeah. See it, feel it, believe it, let it go.
Yeah.
Nice 4 steps, Annabelle. That's it. Yeah. Excellent. Piotr, you've put something in there, so that's good.
Yeah, that was the story of the army.
Oh, the army one.
And I think, yeah, and I think it was the one in which you also talked about getting Neville for Christmas, I think. So that's a good one.
Thank you.
Piotr, what did you say? You dropped out a bit. You did the army one, and what was the second thing you said?
Oh, sorry. It's probably my broadband. Yeah, it was about Abdullah as well, and his contribution too.
Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, that'll help. And Ella, I'll send you that third one tomorrow about the living from it, where you don't leave, you separate your soul, your spirit from your body, and then you look back at where you used to be. That's more advanced, Neville, but it's fun to practice. And that's what got me to London and got me to stay here and got me to be with my specific person and got my business to where it is using that very technique that I will send you tomorrow. Okay, now, Christina, you want to read a bit more?
Sure. I wasn't asleep.
It's all right. You might have been scoffing your lunch or something. It's all right.
Okay. Prove that you are still follow the consciousness that you are. It will not precede it. You are an eternal dreamer dreaming non-eternal dreams. Your dreams take form as you assume the feeling of their reality. Do not limit yourself to the past. Knowing that nothing is impossible to consciousness, begin to imagine states beyond the experiences of the past. Whatever the mind of man can imagine, man can realize. All objective visible states or first subjective invisible states. And you call them into visible by assuming the feeling of their reality. The creative process is first imagining and then believing the state imagined. Always imagine and expect the best. The world cannot change until you change your conception of it. As within, so without. Nations as well as people are only what you believe them to be. No matter what the problem is, no matter where it is, no matter whom it concerns, you have no one to change but yourself. And you have neither opponent nor helper in bringing about the change within yourself. You have nothing to do but convince yourself of the truth that which you desire to see manifested. As soon as you succeed in convincing yourself of the reality of the state sought, results follow to confirm your fixed belief. You never suggest to another the state which you desire to see him express. Instead, you convince yourself that he is already that which you desire him to be.
Okay, let's talk a bit about this. You have neither opponent, so no one's against you, nor do you have any helpers in bringing about the change within yourself. This is a solo job. So your SP is not your opponent. Your boss is not your opponent. Your bank account is not your opponent. It is merely just expressing where you are at here and now, which is not fixed in stone. It's just a photograph of where you've been. So when you realize that you're not fighting against it, the desire, trying to get it here, but you don't have anybody to help you either, because it's a solo act between you, your mind, you, your emotions, you, your focus, you, your discipline, you, your concentration, you, your ability to make some time to do this. That's your only thing that is really between you and you that you have to get better at. It's those things. So it's getting to the place where you go, okay, well, how much do I really want what I want? And am I going to make time for this? in a disciplined fashion by perhaps setting an alarm on my phone at X time per day to remind me to do it, so that I don't go, oh, well, I only did it once this week. It's like it becomes like when you're doing study for a degree or anything else, you learn to get better at something through repetition, through practice. I personally don't think you have to do 7 days a week. I've manifested many things by doing 4 or 5 days a week, because we have responsibilities, we have other things we need to do, and we have to look after ourselves with food, sleep, exercise, jobs, etc., etc. So if you can hold steady at about 4 days a week, 5 days a week, if you can afford the extra day because you got a day off, excellent. Have 2 days off to just go and do other things to raise your vibe, like listening to the Wayne Dyer meditation and doing a lovely walk or whatever it is, but do things that make you just genuinely feel good, that are free, that you can do in your neighborhood, you can do in your home, you know, whatever it is, anything that raises your vibe and helps you to feel better mentally and emotionally is moving you towards the wish fulfilled. Okay. So it's a wonderful thing to see how he talks about the lover, that this is like lovers, you know, and many of you want a lover. And it's like, if you think of the conscious and the subconscious working as lovers too, that's exactly what many of you want. It's a nice way to say, wow, I could get my conscious and my subconscious mind working in such a beautiful way that things just unfold at my feet. Things are easy. The better I feel, the more in that love state I am. Ah, I knew you would show up. Oh, where did all that money come from? Oh, did I just win that? You know, you'll be saying these types of things to yourself. And I remember Abraham Hicks years ago said there will come a point where they will start running demanifestation sessions. And I used to laugh. But you will get to the point where manifestations are happening to you so easily that you will be riding the surfboard of, I've got a lot of stuff, I've got a lot of money, what am I going to do with this? Who am I going to give this to? And you will be in a state of there's enough time, enough money, enough love. And that is just getting better at using your mind to work with you like a lover does. And I love this book because he's a lot of his English in this book is reasonably simple to understand. I mean, there's little pockets of things that you just go, what is he talking about there? But there's a lot of real simple English that even 50 years later we can understand. And this book is small. It's a little bite size of Neville. And I think it's a great one if you're going to start really applying Neville's teachings and his techniques in a simple way. This is a nice book to start with. Now, does anyone else want to read? No, Christina, you can keep. Oh, you got your hand up. I just saw your hand pop up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I really, it hit the sentence is, as soon as you succeed in convincing yourself of the reality of this state thought, results follow to confirm your fixed belief. And then I got a thought that says, like, maybe like one way to not get as like beating up when things didn't happen. I wrote down like, what is now is only where you have been. Is that right? Right. So that's another reason, right? Not to beat yourself up, right? For things that didn't happen as you wish.
What's the reason?
That the important thing is about changing your minds about so forward looking. So what already has happened is only where you have been, right? Or whatever is right now.
Yeah.
If there's a sign, then it's only where you have been. So it's like the continuum that was helpful.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And your continuum could be, wow, I'm feeling really good. Now I can milk this and keep going. And, you know, it's like when you're on a go-kart coming down, you know, a really nice hill and you're just going, wee, you know, like it's a really energetic place that if you are in that state, keep it going. If you're not there, it's all right. It's just, how do I get myself a little bit further up? How do I get myself a little bit further up? What can I do? What is it I need to do physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to move myself into a better state of joy, happiness, love, freedom, and get away from this 2022 collective consciousness of dissatisfaction? Because I don't know about you guys, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't hear somebody saying something about electricity prices, the cost of petrol. And I'm just like walking into the newsstand, or I'm on a bus, and it's like this, you can hear these little conversations. I end up putting my headphones and I go, no, I don't. I'll just imagine that person having lots of money. I revise it quickly and then I put my headphones in and I listen to something. But the collective consciousness is, in a lot of areas right now, very easy to plug your socket into lack, negativity, fear of the future, fear of this, fear of that. And, you know, it's whether it's your family members, the people at work, or, you know, the powers that be trying to plant seeds in our heads yet again around stuff, it can come at you from a whole bunch of different ways. So it's being mindful of who's getting in and who you got to, it's an effort to stay on this side of the line. It is. Piotr.
I think there's something I wanted to say in relation to that, Agnes, is
Sure.
It's really obviously listening to all the media reports and politicians talking, but generally speaking, all the talking heads on TV. And it's our collective consciousness is simply just getting programmed. And as we all know, if there is a collective of minds that focus their attention on something, well, they end up manifesting easier and faster. So it just kind of becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, which obviously I'm a great believer in. We basically, in simplest terms, we as humanity, generally speaking, we wind ourselves up. Yeah. And then we let ourselves go. And then we end up creating everything that we fear, whether it's a crisis, whether it's some sort of conflict or war or whatever. And I think media has been quite guilty of basically fueling that fire of anxiety amongst us. So probably better to unplug.
Yeah, and you and I have had many conversations about it over the last couple of years, and it is what it is. And it's okay, I have to make sure that I go, okay, it's not that I'm not knowing what's going on, but I'm going to focus on, you know, like the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to change to change the things that I can and know the difference. And the difference is I can't change right here and now what the government's doing, what social media is doing, what, you know, is going on in different countries. But what I can do is I can launch my mind to solution-based resolutions and continue to use my mind to help not only myself, my family, my friends, and, you know, if you want to cast the net wider, you can do so too, because that is a collective consciousness that we have.
The funny thing about, yes, obviously, is we all keep focusing on the negative side of things, and it does have a flip side. It can be applied for good. So the same ripple effect that ends up spreading and causing havoc around the world can also be used to greater benefit, obviously, if used consciously and applied with a sort of good intention. It's what I think Hugh Len speaks of in explaining his Ho'oponopono. It's the whole concept of taking responsibility, and people doubtfully say, oh, how can I take responsibility for that tornado across the globe, or that war there, or that something somewhere else? In simple terms, I think that's the sort of simplest definition of the butterfly effect, really. I mean, it's, some people don't believe it, probably most people don't believe it, but to me it's that sort of ripple effect. You do good around you, in your life, in your closest circle, and it spreads. So that's probably the simplest definition of it.
I remember Dr. Hugh Len saying in that interview with a woman called Carla. It's an interview that he did in 2001. If you want to look at it on YouTube, if you put in the word interview Dr. Hugh Len, Carla 2001, you'll see it. And he said, anytime something shows up in front of him, and in this example, it was a woman with cancer, and he said, okay, if that's in front of me, what do I need to dissolve within myself? And as we know, when you dissolve it within you, it assists the external. So every moment there is an opportunity to use your mind and use your, well, everything that we know, whether it's Ho'oponopono or Neville's feeling is the secret. It's using what we've got in our toolbox to be able to, rather than pour fuel on the problem externally, that you use what you've got in your toolbox to dissolve, hopefully a little tiny bit, what is in front of you. And like you said, that will then create the ripple effect. So everything we do counts. Okay.
And yes, my simple interpretation of the idea of collect. Sorry, just one sentence, if I can.
Yes.
My simple interpretation of that collective subconscious, which obviously Hugh then claims to be responsible for everything in our lives, and we can affect it with with the Ho'oponopono. It's, I think of it as a Google Cloud or whatever. We all have access to it, and that's where we store our feelings, emotions, and we can upload stuff to it. And then obviously as a result, it all gets affected, and everyone else keeps downloading the shit that we upload to it. So do we keep downloading shit that others upload to it. But if you start uploading stuff that's good, well, eventually it's gonna affect the cloud. And I think it's the cloud where everything happens. Yeah,
nice. That's lovely. Yeah. I think my Google Cloud is maxed out in the storage, so I'm going to have to get some, you're going to have to do some deleting. That's, I think, what we do with the inner child work. What a lovely analogy. Yes, Christina?
The other day I got an advertisement. Do you guys know Marie Kondo?
Yes.
Of like cleaning out. She has a new program for your cloud folders. People need to get organized with their like cloud, supposedly like infinite space for every single file photo in your entire life, right? And then she has a program where I guess to organize it. But I think most of her stuff is like throw out all your books, keep only 5, right? So like what you're
no. The idea is good, like to get rid of stuff, but yeah, some of us have got things that we treasure, and books would be probably the only thing that many of us collect. There's still nothing like reading a physical book compared to reading a Kindle. It's different, isn't it? That's funny, Christina.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess
Yeah.
yeah, that was interesting. I was like, then that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having clouds, because you're supposed to be able to store everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Good
Should
one.
I continue?
Yes, continue. Yes.
Okay. Realization of your wish is accomplished by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You cannot fail unless you fail to convince yourself of the reality of your wish. A change of belief is confirmed by a change of expression. Every night, as you drop off to sleep, feel satisfied and spotless. For your subjective lover always form the objective world in the image and likeness of your conception of it. The conception defined by your feeling. The waking 2/3 of your life on earth ever corroborates or bears witness to your subconscious impressions. The actions and events of the day are effects. They are not causes. Free will is only freedom of choice. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. Is your freedom to choose the kind of mood you assume. But the expression of the mood is the secret of the subconscious. The subconscious receives impressions only through the feelings of man, and in a way known only to itself. Gives these impressions form and expression. The actions of man are determined by his subconscious impressions. His illusion of free will, his belief in freedom of action, is but ignorance of the causes which make him act. He thinks himself free because he has forgotten the link between himself and the event.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the actions and events of the day. They are effects, they aren't causes. So if you look at what you've got around you, they are an effect from what you've had going on mentally and emotionally, okay? And so Neville talks a lot about revision. Now, as we know with revision is you go to something that didn't go well, that made you uncomfortable, made you angry, was dissatisfied with it, and you go through and you revise a problem. You basically paste over the top of it a solution that then the idea of revising it over and over, however many times you need to, until you unhook yourself from the negative emotional impact, okay? I prefer to do pre-paving. Why? Because it's easier to walk into something with your energy shored up rather than have to revise something after. Now, you can't do that with stuff from childhood because childhood happened however long ago for each one of you. So revision's excellent for past stuff. Pre-paving's good for avoiding having to do revision later. So pre-paving is you walking into a meeting and you go, okay, I'm really nervous. So before I go in there, I'm going to spend some time imagining the room that I walk in, relax, the interview goes well, I walk out and go, I nailed that. That's a pre-paving rather than going in with all your nervous, anxious, fearful, oh my God, are they going to like me energy? Okay. Now, free will, he says, is only freedom of choice, but that is, you're free to choose. So you're choosing whether to go over stuff in your head before you go to bed negatively about what someone said to you and it's still bugging you 3 days later, or you go to bed and you imagine, isn't it wonderful that this is all sorted out? Isn't this wonderful that this is all sorted out? And you go over and over it until you fall into sleep with the revised feeling and thoughts. So this whole topic of free will versus non-free will, it is an atomic bomb in the Neville community. It is one of those things that we go around and around with this, and there's the heavy Nevillites that say there's no free will, and Neville said this, and then there's all these other people over here that go, no, there is free will. So it is up to you what you decide on that topic. I like to know that my specific person lays next to me in bed because he chose to be there. I also know I didn't do anything apart from my internal work, my own work, feeling loved, imagining us being together. And then I surrendered and let go. He chose to accept what I sent. And Neville talks about in Prayer, the Art of Believing, what people can do when you send something out. But that's a whole other book, and we won't go down that road today. So my question to you is, and if you want to say something on this topic, what do you think about free will and the freedom to choose? Is everything happening through your choice? Is everything just responding to you? Is everything just happening? What do you think about this topic? Christina, I'll start with you because you look like you were ready to say something.
Yeah, so I think the whole thing around, I think it's great it's very empowering to be able to say that adding the emphasis on choice, right? So then that's where the empowerment comes from. But then I'm trying to read so he was talking about the conscious state where your actions are. So is the freedom of choice in the conscious part or the subconscious part that he's emphasizing?
Conscious part.
Yeah, that kind of makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that though, because you make a conscious choice to go, let me pick the blonde versus the brunette. And that is your conscious choice. That's a preference. And then you think about the wish fulfilled of being with the blonde. And then you go into sleep thinking about the blonde, not the brunette. And then your subconscious takes over. The conscious and the subconscious merge like lovers, as he said in this today. And then you will see the blonde show up. And it's not that the brunettes do not exist. It means the brunettes drop into the background. The blondes come into the foreground. They're both there, but it's what comes forward. So, and that applies, I'm just using brunettes and blondes because that's easy to see the difference, but that could be, something to do with jobs, money. It really doesn't matter what the topic is. It's Abraham Hicks probably says this in the best possible way. It's a focus-based universe. So what you focus on with your thought, with your emotion is what comes in. It's a magnet. Your thoughts and emotions are a magnet that either repel or pull in. If you are not getting what you want, you're repelling. If you're getting what you want, it's pulling in, because you've got good at focusing on the having and the joy and the fun, and you've let go of the suffering, the neediness, the anxiety, the fear, the I'm never going to have, the unlovedness, the poverty, whatever is your topic. So it's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that because often on the it's when things get difficult, like you're focusing on something that's difficult, right? And Abraham Hicks also talk about then change the subject. So that's a choice.
Yes.
And then your subconscious follows. Okay.
Correct. So to get your subconscious to be let's say, a lover that you really want to be with, you give it correct instructions. That's not a fuzzy target. You get clear, you deliver it through the state akin to sleep, you plant the seeds, and then the harvest comes, and the harvest is desirable and to your liking because you took the time to plant the right seeds. So you got to be careful what you plant. Shireen.
This gets interesting because I go on Reddit a lot just to think it was how I practice. Now I don't go because I don't need validation, but it was in a way to respond and learn about Neville. And anyways, there's a lot of young people that get obsessed with their SP, and I'm older, and so I have some pretty ingrained beliefs. And so I've been doing your beginner course and now intermediate. I don't even have an SP right now. But what had happened is my self-concept has increased so much that 2 SPs in the past few years seem very unattractive to me because I'm not aligned with their behavior. And so it's so funny when I'm on these Reddit forums because I want to tell the babies, like, be careful with the obsession with that person, because maybe you can shift them, everyone as you pushed out. But maybe actually, if you work on your self-concept, you'll have what's happened to me and many people, where much better people enter your life in friendship form, love form, in all forms. Concept increases. So this is where I get a little bit confused about how deliberate and specific I want to be about opportunities, lovers, because sometimes the universe shows you that as you work on yourself, what you think you want, you don't want anymore, even when you're older and you think you've kind of already worked it out.
Yeah.
I don't know how that kind of goes into this, but it's a little bit like there's some lessons that come with all of this.
And look, in a way, like, now when I look back, whether it's an SP, whether like someone you've never been with, but that you're friends with or something, you'd like a relationship, whether it's an ex that you've been with before, whether you're totally single and you would like someone brand new, it really isn't that different, because you are the common denominator, whether you're in a state of love and feeling secure and good enough or not. So whether the SP comes back, the ex comes back, or you attract someone new, you are still going to attract the sum total of where you are really at, not where you say you're at, but where you're really at. And therefore, it doesn't matter whether you want an SP or not. If you do, that's great. If you don't, that's great too. It just means you're ready for a relationship and you have done the best you can with, really, at the end of the day, it boils down to one thing. How good have I got at being in a state of love? Because if I'm really going to be of real meaningful relationship value to that person I know or that person that I've yet to meet, you are bringing the best of you or the worst of you or the neediness of you or the I am good enough of me. You're bringing that towards whoever shows up in front of you. So at the end of the day, the relationship just shows you, whichever one of those shows up, how well am I really doing at being in that pure state of love, that I am no longer chasing my specific person, my ex, or even a new relationship, for that to be fulfilled, to make up for all the stuff I've never got from family, from past relationships, and from the times I've been single.
Right.
And that, once you get that, you will give that next person or the SP or an ex a ride they will never forget. Yeah. Because there are so few people that are in a state of love.
I know, and where you're just free. And actually I had a dream about chasing him, and in my dream I reframed it. I'm like, you don't need to chase anybody. He's not in alignment with you. So one more question. Let's say you manifest money.
Yes.
Is it better to look at a number that, let's say 10 grand is a lot for you, because that is for a lot of people, regardless of what you have. Is it better to align with feeling that than going for $1 million? See, this is where it gets a bit more nuanced.
Yeah.
It's not the same as what we were just talking about, and weirdly it could be. And when it comes to amounts of money, like how would you do that?
Well, in my experience, going from when I started, I was earning, I think, $400 a week, which was about $1,600 a month. So me jumping to I make $1 million a year, my belief system would have snapped and gone, that's never going to happen. Yeah. So what I did was I went, okay, I'm earning $1,600 a month. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to about, say, let's go to 4,000.
So it was reasonable, but still aspiration.
But a stretch. Yeah, because I was
Stretch,
thinking,
yeah.
I don't want to work anymore. And how am I going to attract more money from I kept saying I now attract money from known and unknown sources. Known was my job, my income from my employer, but unknown sources was I was trying to open myself up to God as a source of my supply. It's not just them, you know. So once I got to 4,000 a month, then I thought, okay, let me hold steady here for at least 2 or 3 months. Let me get good at maintaining that. And then I got to that and I thought, okay, let me bump it up to 5. It's only 1,000 more, but that puts me in a nice round bracket. So once I did that, then it was like, okay, let me jump to, can I do 10? Oh, I don't know if I can do 10 because that's double. Let me jump to 7. So I did it they were kind of manifestations in their own right, but they gave me a sure footing to then go up to 10, then to go up to 15. So it's like, for me, that my believability stretches more without snapping if I do it in that way. Now, some people can jump from being in poverty to $1 million and they win lottery or whatever, and that's all well and good. That's another way of doing it.
But then they often lose it.
But then they often lose.
What happened to me, my inheritance, I lost a chunk because I wasn't a vibrational match. And I only realized yesterday, I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. Obviously.
Yeah.
If you have limiting beliefs, it'll like fuck things up.
Yeah. Good insight. Good insight though.
Oh yeah, I wrote it down. I was like, okay, so maybe the money thing is a little bit of a different example. Opportunities, let's say you have a specific opportunity like the woman Manel, and I'm not it's like the SP thing. Sometimes we don't know what other things are available. So is it all just about self-concept? That's what I'm trying to I
think it's about feeling better and better about yourself and working out more and more ways to do so. But I also think it's about putting your antenna up. Like I know when I didn't know what I wanted to do for work, I just knew I didn't want to be doing what I was doing. And I knew I wanted to be doing something creative because I love creative things. So I had a bit of a general thing going on about work. So what I did in those days was I launched Florence's affirmation, the unexpected happens, my seemingly impossible good now comes to pass. Now, that was a nice general one. It was for me to launch myself out into the world in terms of work, not knowing exactly what industry I would go into, but I knew that I no longer wanted to work in retail. And at that time I was. So I felt extremely trapped in one room. I don't like being in one place for 8 hours. I don't like seeing the same people every day. It gets on my nerves. And I knew that I wanted to work either alone or that I was moving around in different places. So I got clear about that. And that affirmation, I said it every day for 30 minutes on my way to work and for 30 minutes on my way home. And within, I can't remember, it was a really short period of time, I had all these amazing opportunities happen. Random people saying, someone gave me your number, I want to fly you to another city, can you do this, can you, like I had about 3 or 4 things happen within about 3 months. And it was profoundly interesting because it was so out of my scope of what I could conceive would be possible. So it was kind of evoking, when you say the known and unknown sources, the unknown part is where the real jewels are. Because obviously what I knew from where I was standing, and I was still earning like, you know, whatever, 1,600 a month, or it was not very much. My ability to stretch myself then I didn't go very far mentally to stretch myself. It was still on the low end of not much higher than, you know, a notch or two above being poor and living from pay to pay. So it was the unknown channels would really excite me because I thought, oh my God, that could be anything. And then I started thinking about it and I got to say this more. This is really amazing. And then, you know, this random guy flew me to another town and I did all the interiors for all his apartments. Like all these really interesting creative things happened. And I will never forget the power of that affirmation because I tried something new.
Very interesting.
Good questions. Shireen, do you want to read a bit? You got the book?
Yeah, I have the book.
Do you want to read a little bit?
Are we at realization?
I think we're the waking 2/3 of our life. I think we're down there.
The waking 2/3 of your life on earth ever corroborates or bears witness to your subconscious impressions. The actions, events of the day are effects, they are not causes. Free will is only freedom of choice. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. Joshua 24:15. Is your freedom to choose the kind of mood you assume, but the expression of the mood is a secret of the subconscious. The subconscious receives impressions only through the feelings of man and in a way only to itself. In a way only known only to itself, gives these impressions form and expression. The actions of man are determined by his subconscious impressions. His illusions of free will, his belief in freedom of action, is but ignorance of the causes which make him act. He thinks himself free because he has forgotten the link between himself and the event. Man awake is under compulsion to express his subconscious impressions. If the past he unwisely impressed himself, then let him begin to change his thought and feeling, for only as he does, so will he change his world. Do not waste one moment in regret, for to think feelingly of the mistakes of the past is to reinfect yourself. Let the dead bury the dead. Matthew 8:12, Luke 9:16. I love these Bible verses, by the way. It's like, wow, it was already there. Turn from appearances and assume the feeling that would be yours, were you already the one you wish to be. Feeling a state produces that state. The part you play on the world stage is determined by your conception of yourself. By feeling your wish to sleep, you cast yourself into a star role to be played on earth tomorrow. And while asleep, you are rehearsed and instructed in your part.
Thank you. Okay. That's great. I might just refer to a couple of things, Shireen. The bit that he says here is where now he talks about the illusion of free will. So you think you've got free will, but ignorance of the causes which make him act. So when you look at things, you go, okay, I'm choosing to do this, or I'm choosing to pick this person, or I'm choosing to go and apply for this job. Now, why are we drawn to those things? Often because of things to do with our childhood. There are things that remind us, there are things that feel familiar, there are things that we get drawn to, and it is a familiarity that perhaps we haven't had a conscious thought about, but we just go in that direction. So technically, you've got the free will to choose, but all the stuff from back then is influencing the choices that you make. So whether that's in love, whether that's to do with money, to do with jobs, what are you drawn to for work? What are you drawn to in terms of relationships? Why do you prefer the blonde over the brunette? Why do you choose the brunette over the blonde? Does it remind you of your mother, your sister, your teacher? It might have been your aunt that raised you? That often, I've heard many times, especially coaching people, that they end up going to their new partner's place and they realize that they look exactly like all of their sisters. So there is a familiarity, and there is often, I mean, that's just an example, but there are links to why we get drawn to things and why we choose what we choose because of our blueprint. And that's a really interesting thing. Now, once you're aware of your blueprint, you're aware of your childhood, and the impact the childhood has on the adulthood, you can then go, hang on a minute, normally I would choose the blonde because that's familiar. I'm going to try something different and go against my patterns. And then you make conscious different decisions just to try something else. Now, that is making more of a choice from being more free rather than being dictated to by back then. Okay. So You want to read one more little bit, Shireen, and then we'll just, have a few more little questions, and then we'll just go so quick. So I think where are you? The acceptance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directly wills the means of realization. Make no mistake about this. If, as you prepare for sleep, you do not consciously feel yourself into the state of the answered wish, then you will take with you into the chamber of her who conceived you the sum total of the reactions and feelings of the waking day. And while asleep, you will be instructed in the manner in which they will be expressed tomorrow. You will rise believing that you are a free agent, not realizing that every action and event of the day is predetermined by your concept of self as you fell asleep. Your only freedom then is your freedom of reaction. You are free to choose how you feel and react to the day's drama, but the drama, the actions, events, and circumstances of the day have already been determined. Unless you consciously and purposely define the attitude of mind with which you go to sleep, you unconsciously go to sleep in the composite attitude of mind made up of all the feelings and reactions of the day. Every reaction makes a subconscious impression, and unless counteracted by an opposite and more dominant feeling, is the cause of future action. Ideas enveloped in feeling are creative actions. Use your divine right wisely. Through your ability to think and feel, you have dominion over all creation. While you are awake, you are a gardener selecting seed for your garden, but except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone, but if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. John 12:24. Your conception of yourself as you fall asleep is the seed you drop into the ground of the subconscious. Dropping off to sleep, feeling satisfied and happy compels conditions and events to appear in your world which confirm these attitudes of mind. Sleep is the door into heaven. The feeling you bring are as a condition, action, or object in space. So sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, as in consciousness, so on earth.
Thank you. And I just want to read that one sentence again. What you take in as feeling, you bring out. So what you take in to sleep as a feeling, you bring out as a condition, an action, or an object in space. So this affects your relationship. This affects where you live. This affects your body size, your weight, your health, your sickness. It affects what your bank account looks like and how meaningful and satisfying and fulfilling your job is. So it is really important to look at what feeling you are dropping into sleep, because that is the seeds you plant on all subjects. And if you find you've got way too many subjects you're trying to correct, as I did many, many years ago, and I felt overwhelmed trying to imagine this, and then you go, oh my God, it's too much. Isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now? Just like the woman did in the story in Neville's Law and the Promise book, where she had so many things to manifest. She had no money. She had no job. She didn't know where to start. She was so anxious trying to imagine all these different things. It was her that practiced this. And then she was given, she met a friend randomly, not randomly as we know, who offered her an amazing amount of money, so she never had to work and she could buy the most wonderful things in life and never had to work for the rest of her life, because someone she had gone to school with became really rich, and the friend that she ran into knew both of them and delivered her with a check, and then she got regular checks every month for the rest of her life. So it is a wonderful affirmation. Isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now? If you've got too many things to manifest and you fall asleep in that state, and you take the weight off your shoulders of having to do it for lots of different things. So, Manel.
One short question. I think I asked you so many times the same question on our one-on-one, but I just really I really have a problem in feeling the feeling that I'm supposed to feel, like feeling love. I know that there are people in my life that truly love me. I know, like, logically, I understand that. Even when I thought about people who love me, and my SP came into my mind, and it's like I knew he loved me, but I can't feel it. And I know that I'm good enough, but I can't feel it. It's like, all the good feeling, I cannot feel it. And I watched one of your latest video you posted yesterday about how when you do your affirmation, you learn to feel it. So recently I got into a group of girls, doing a manifestation together. A girl, she started affirming alongside with me. I was doing like thousands of affirmation every day. I'm loved, I'm loved, I'm loved. She was only doing like 500 or less. Now she's already feeling better. She wants to close the group chat. I'm not feeling anything, and I'm still like, I'm no longer depressed, but I'm I'm not happy, I'm not sad. And it's just, I'm not sure how do I get to really feeling good, because there are days that I'm still so angry with my SP. Like I can still use my logic and by saying everyone's you pushed out, whatever he did to you is was first created in your mind, and everything is created twice, first in your mind and then now in the reality. So it came to pass, it was your fault. Like I can internalize that, but at the end of the day, the feeling is not coming. Oh, Agnes?
Well, yes, I can hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, Manila, it's easy as a theory, and it's not the easiest for everybody. Like it takes as long as it takes. Now, you said, I'm not sad, I'm not happy, I'm just kind of in the middle. But the thing is, I remember you a couple of months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, you were devastated.
Yeah,
so,
I was actually
yeah. So you've actually gone from being really sad, devastated, and a lot of pain to coming into the middle. So you've already made some, you've gone up the ladder. Now you're going to go from being in that middle state to moving up over time. So look at the progress you've made from being wiped out. You were totally wiped out. So say to yourself, okay, I'm not in a fully happy state where I'm feeling loved and I can feel these affirmations, but I'm certainly not where I was 3 months ago, where I couldn't even get out of bed and I was crying every day. So acknowledge yourself from where you're at, from where you were to where you are at, I think. And just, you know what, it will click into place at some point. And I think doing affirmations just from the head with no feeling is better than just going over a lot of negative stuff anyway. So even if you just do the head stuff and you're not feeling anything in the body, it's still progress to where you want to go. So I don't think you have to do 3,000 a day or anything, but just go steady, go steady, and it will at some point click into place. Manel, I know I did some affirmations sometimes for a year, didn't feel a damn thing. Sometimes maybe longer on certain affirmations. So don't worry. It's like some of us just take longer, and it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just, because you can't compare your childhood to that woman in the group that's going to close the group. You don't know what her childhood is. You might have had a much rougher time than her, and she's able to hop on the horse and ride away because she hasn't had what you've had. So, don't beat yourself up like, oh, she can do it, I can't. Just say to yourself, we're different. This isn't like a comparison, and I'm doing the best I can, and I will keep going because I can see that I've made progress in the last 3 months. And the fact that you've attracted this opportunity tells you that something shifted. Say to yourself, this is a wonderful example of my energy getting better. Ah, nice.
Yeah, it's true. And there are days that I can actually feel happy thinking about my SP. Like I was like, I can actually feel happy. But it's just that love is not something that I can feel. Feeling good about myself is not something. It's just basically when I feel anything that I feel about myself is not positive. It's just like even when I go for, recently I went for a dinner party and I really dressed up to the 10th because I wanted to feel beautiful again. I know that I was among the best looking in the crowd. I still feel shitty inside, and it is so crazy. And I'm so scared to go and start doing Ho'oponopono again because it makes me feel scared just to go into the crevices in my mind to dig out all the dirt and clean it out. Because when I first started this, since the beginning of the year, I just went straight in with Ho'oponopono to clean up my mind, and wow, it was really painful just to like continue digging and digging. I just decided that that's not
Give
me
it a
loving
break.
myself.
Yeah.
That is me abusing myself. So
yeah. And I think too, when too much stuff comes up too fast, you do need to take a break, whether it's therapy, whether it's Ho'oponopono, whether it's inner child work. You just go, I'm exhausted. I can't. You have to slow release this stuff sometimes because a lot of childhood stuff does wipe you out. It's exhausting. So yeah, I think it's good you took a break, and not everything is good for everyone. So you choose what you resonate with. I'm glad you took your foot off the accelerator if that was just too much. And that's you looking after yourself. That's self-love too, saying, you know what, I need a break. So
yeah, I'm sticking to your advice the last time we met one-on-one, that I will do one self-love every night, because the thing is, make it easy, so
make
that
it easy.
my power is in consistency. It's not about the speed of it. The more I do, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing now.
Exactly.
Maybe I should just not do affirmation if it doesn't work for me, because now I feel like it's working against me. Like even with this this LOA group, like this girl is already getting results and she's not even consistent, and I'm not getting results. So like I'm feeling like, oh, something's wrong with me again. Something is wrong. It's never going to work. It puts me in a position. It's like it's more like a competition than
yeah. Well, sometimes having one law of attraction friend or one Neville friend and working one-on-one with people is easier than groups, I think, because they can be competition in groups, and and then groups split off with people believe in this and other people don't believe in that. So I think it's do whatever you resonate with. Trust your intuition. You've got good intuition, Manel. You now know what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and it will be different things at different times. So it's all right.
I actually have very good intuition from since very young, but I had ignored it a lot of time. Once I was driving to go to work in the morning, I got a cramp on my foot that was so bad but I continued to press on to go because I need to get to work, right? I ended up getting into a car accident. Yes.
Wow. So your intuition about the foot.
Yes, I ignore it. And then many times I was like with men that I dated, to begin with, they were not good men. They were not good. Something told me, even though things were going well, I knew something was like, he was like doing something behind my back, and I ignored the intuition because I know that if I listen to my intuition, something really bad gonna happen to me. And it did. So after so many years, I just decided I'm gonna ignore my intuition now. I'm never gonna listen to it anymore because the outcome is bad. But maybe I'm just too weak to listen to the truth, to handle the truth.
Well, I think sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't, and sometimes it's hindsight that goes, I should have listened, that's just
like the
experience.
accident.
Yeah, like the car accident. Yeah. Manel, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. Progress, not perfection, and just surrendering, letting go and saying, look, I'm doing my best here. I can't be holding myself to these, comparing with other people or what they're doing or results they're getting. You go at your own pace and you will get there. You will get there. And you already are. Look at the progress you've made. Say to yourself, you know what? I can't feel my affirmations, but I'm not back where I was 3 months ago. And look at this fantastic job opportunity. Things are starting to move. So look at the glass half full if you can. And, you know, even if you write it down, these things, and then when you're not feeling good, you look and you go, okay, I've made progress. I feel better than I did 3 months ago. I've got a job opportunity. I'm starting to exercise. I'm doing a self-love 4 days a week, whatever. Write it down so you can't argue with facts, and facts will give you comfort. Your own facts I'm talking about. Okay. Annabelle, did you want to say something before? You wanted to comment on something?
No. I was going to say, if she wanted to really feel love, was to focus on something probably from her childhood that she really loved, because I find that really helps.
Okay.
Like in one of your affirmations on money, you say like focus on a pair or something. And whenever I do, it always works, because the love that I felt for that dog I had,
Yes.
never felt it again. Whenever I really want to feel good,
yeah,
I just really focus on that, and it just really makes me happy.
Lovely. Simple things. Simple things. That's good. That might help, Manel. That might help.
You know, the thing is, maybe I don't even know how love feels like. That's the thing. Maybe I do feel love, but I just do not know. Oh, actually, that's the feeling. That's the problem as well.
But like you said, you remember people that you know that there's people that love you. So how do you know?
Because it's the time they spend talking to me, and it's the time that the thing that they do for me without expecting anything in return. Because I make a comparison to my childhood, to the friend, and to you, the things that you have done for me, the way you helped me. I understand clearly, like even with my SP, the time that he used, when we were together, he used to like always write to me, wanted to see me and all that. But I think it's because of my childhood that something that stick into my brain that says that I'm not wanted and I'm unlovable. So my logic tells me I'm loved, but something in my brain, like the smoke alarm is not working. Basically, my alarm is on 24/7 that keeps telling me that, you know, I'm not loved, I'm not loved, I'm not wanted, I'm not good. And just so crazy.
Manila, you know, like the past, there's nothing we could do about it, and we can't predict the future, but we have to live for now. So maybe you should let go of that, because it's not helping you. It's not positive.
It's the thing is like because I've been reading a lot about like childhood abuse and negligence, or that apparently it's a physical change to the brain. It's not something that I did on purpose. So it's like when my SP came into my life, I know that I'm actually I deserve more than him, but somehow when I'm with him, I started having those kind of fear that comes out. But luckily, apparently, according to the latest medical advancement, next year onwards, they do have treatment for people like me that treats the mental issue, because it's considered a kind of mental illness.
Treatment as in what, Manel? Like, what's the suggested treatment?
It's a form of therapy that includes psychedelics, and it really helps with people with PTSD, childhood PTSD, and all that. It seems like it's very promising, because it has a 85% success rate of people walking out after 2 months with no more symptom of PTSD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's always worth looking things while we help ourselves. You know, it's researching and finding out different things. And I would probably see if you can find, you know, maybe 2 or 3 people that have been through it and ask them about it directly.
Yeah.
Try and get like the person who's done it to give you feedback.
And yes, what about rewriting her childhood, erasing to make it into what you want?
Like a revision?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Neville talks about that all the issues we have are unrevised scenes from the past.
Yeah.
So you can do, I mean, look, it's trying different things that work. I mean, if you go the medical route, that's up to you. And then you can also try and help yourself with Neville's work, or, you know, whatever appeals to you. You know, there's people that do therapy, there's people that do counseling, there's people that do hypnosis, there's all sorts of things, NLP, tapping, you know, like try different things and see what you resonate with. So everybody responds to different things.
True. I tried hypnosis. It didn't work for me. It makes me really angry, and
Okay.
the worst of me.
Okay.
But it's like, I think so. My best friend told me the thing is, I'm already at grounds. I mean, like, I'm already lost everything. Now the only thing is try everything, even if it means that it's against the church or whatever, because I'm a baptized Catholic. So when I speak to those people from a church, they say like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this, you must not do this, you must not do that. It's like, they are not in my position.
Yeah.
I don't care what they think anymore. Now, for me, I mean, like, the self-love is going to try everything out that will help me out.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to try whatever you are led to, and ask, you know, ask in meditation, what is it that I should try that would be of benefit to me? Go straight to the source and ask for guidance and see what you get, and follow the path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're doing okay, Manel, you're doing okay. And there's no, you have to accelerate and get there faster, the pace you're going at, you know. I mean, I found it took me like 20 years to get through a lot of my childhood stuff, but I wasn't doing it every day. You know, you do it for a while, and then you get a good job and you start feeling okay. And then you meet someone, you have a relationship, then the wheels fall off, and then you go, oh my God, not this again. And so it's not this steady, you know, the childhood stuff is ongoing work. And it is, whether you do it alone or do it with a professional, we all have to face our childhoods at some point if we're going to be free, I think. And, you know, to be continued, to be continued. Well, people, I'm going to need to go and eat. I need some food. Good to see you all. And just lovely questions and good conversation. It's just so interesting to see what people ask and what comes up in you know, the experiences and the dialogues when we read this and then go, okay, how are we going to apply it? So thank you for joining the discussion. If you want a copy, just email me and I'll give you the private link that I will upload to YouTube, but it's set on unlisted. No one can see it except for those of you that ask. All right. Lots of love, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Agnes.
See you as we do. Bye.